Good morning, SMFMMTs. It's 8:41 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today's date is 12/11 of 2010. And we're going to be talking about a monthly chart over time. We have Human Genome here on a monthly view. And basically, back in 99, when Human Genome at that time was involved in a lot of things in the medical community, we can see where the prices went from, watch right here, MMTs, and this was a history. The history behind the move was $9.84 to the monthly high right here, $115.50. This high here was even higher at $116.38 on 3/1 of year 2000. So there is quite a history behind Human Genome during these years of what they were working on, and we would like to show that there was times that the company was doing really well, and there were times that it had bottomed out in 2002 cycle, and it did. And for multi-years, 2003, 4, 5, and 2006, they were heavily involved in lots of various different trials and building out their properties that they get patented that have a lot to do with helping people along in their treatment processes for various different kinds of illnesses. The big one up on the plate right now is the Lupus Foundation, and today just happens to be 12/11 of 2010. And they're having a fundraising dinner this evening, and they are responsible for a lot of people, because they are. And we'll come back to that and that dinner, but we're just going to give a little bit of the new MMTs during these years of 3, 4, 5, and 2006. The company was in its development phases, and throughout those development phases they had these big swings, and they were doing lots of clinical trials during these years. So we move over to 2005, 6, here we are, down 2007. And during these times, and well, 2008 was the financial crisis time. During these times, it just had stayed in its ranges because it was still involved in its development phases of the drugs that are coming up for approval today, and that's the lupus treatment, Benlysta. Here we have a 2007 down move, but we stayed in all these ranges throughout the years. 2008 was a financial crisis, but look what happened here. 2008 right here, and 2009 we're coming off of these lows, MMTs. So things started doing pretty well for the company. Could have bought at 45 cents right here. That was on 3/1 of 2009. And that's how far down they drove this stock down to 45-cent level. And that was on 3/1 of 2009. Now, it went up, sure did, because the next month the low was only 75 cents and the high was $2.25. And it increased in price action. The low became $1.67 and the high was in a range, 2.57. But look at here. On 7/1, which is July of 2009, big money came barreling in the stock at $2.25. The high was $15.45, and this was that really nice month in July. So it was July month 2009 breakout. Numbers are right here. Then we had an increased move thereafter. The lows, if you take the low here, was 225. The following month on 8/1 of 2009, the low there is 13.96. Tells you right here. Then we kind of consolidated price action. We hit a high here. Actually, we hit a high here of 22.78. And then from that 22.78, that was that big run. And that's where your big institutional money drove this equity price higher, MMTs. All right, so things started looking up for Human Genome Sciences during this time. And the big money community has followed this success. And as we move over here to where we're going to come up to now, is we consolidated these 2 months between 1736 and the high was 2063. The following month here on 10/1 of 2009, the low was 1730 and the high was 21.71. But look what happened. Another development, another milestone was met. Remember, our prices were back over here at 45 cents. Then another milestone was met. Look at that gap. The low, once again, 23.57 on 11/1 of 2009. That would be 13 months ago. That was the low. It proceeded to go higher, and the low became 26.65 and the high 31.40. And the open, though, that was 1 year ago, 12/1 of 2009. Now, MMTs, here we are 4 quarters later, a year later, and we're going into a new year, 2011. They are coming up for a major approval as far as the medical side of this whole thing. That's where you have the FDA agencies. That's where you have the GlaxoSmithKline agency and your Human Genome agency. They share ownership, and the big money has been making their huge investments that the actual product would get to a marketable retail stage. That's where Wall Street comes in. That's their role. That's not the medical community role. The medical community role looks at how many lives the treatment would be saving, so that they don't have any suffering. And what we're going to be coming up with is that we've seen the pattern of ownership really increase. And then we got up here to these highs, and we started 2010. This particular high was $32.07. And that was on the beginning of the new year a year ago, 1/1 of 2010. So its high was 32.07. Its trading range low was 26.29, right here, during that time frame. We continued to move through 2010, and everyone was in. They had met every in trial. Ownership, institutional ownership, has increased in value. Here we were, right over here on 4/1 of 2010, the stock makes a high of 34.49, and the low at that time was 27.33, and that was April of 2010. Okay, so what we're looking for, MMTs, is how does a lower cap biotech stock, Human Genome, is working on a cure that it's not a cure. I should not say that. They're working on a treatment process that has stability to it, and it treats the core symptoms and any of the legal stuff that they need to do about the safety label. They have lawyers who do take care of that. And the thing that we're going to talk about is we made those highs, and here we are right now. So we went back in time, and we already went through this whole thing here, how it started. So now we're going to go in front of time and where we're at right now today. And here we are. And we're right down to this pattern on a monthly level. You can see that the name had made the high of 34.49 on 4/1 of 2010. You can also see that this low on 5/1 was $20.56. All right, and MMTs know that in the SMF platform, but the high was 28.48. The low, the bottom up, that meant they were buying here in May of 2010. That's what that means, that big wick up. That's professional money coming in. So basically, we got down to a positive month of 7/1 of 2010. The low, 2065. Okay, and this was after the flash crash, I think. So then we rallied on up to another high of 29.77. And we were involved in these trades here. Then we've come back here to a high of 30.48 pennies. Didn't break above 30.90 to keep going north to challenge its 52-week high. Now, let's take a look at the reversal that we had in 10/1 is that the high was 30.25 and that low for the month held a price of 24.61. This month right here is 11/1 of 2010. That's November of the previous month. And the low was 22.80 and our high was 27.13 for that month. Now we're on that third month. 1, 2, 3. And the low, 23.89 so far. And this is 12/1, 2010. And it's 23.89. And the high so far for the month was put in $26.25. And just remember that today's date is 12/11, so there's a lot of left that goes into the month. So MMTs, based on the history and the nature and the increased ownership, is we're just going to take a look at where this half bar is, which is about 24.29 or so. We'll look in our platform to get the exact number. And we have come back to here. Now, this is just outside of their approval. So we can see the very long history, and I'm going to draw and leave that company, and that will be in separate videos.